Hi there, I'm Mojo Dallas, here to talk about Midiot. The Midiot is the extension I wrote for Sonic Pi that allows you to play MIDI songs or parts of MIDI songs. And I'll just show you the basics of it right now. So first of all, it's stored in a directory. If we go ahead and look at a directory here. Now, wrong one. Here we go. The structure here is you'll see underneath Sonic Pi now, underneath your .Sonic Pi under your user account. There's a live loops, MIDI loops, plugins, and songs, and I added all those, and those got added when you went ahead and executed my distribution to get the things installed. And MIDI loop directory is where the Midiot really basically resides. And there's a piece of software called Midi to SPI Ruby, which is a Midiot or a Midi, takes a Midi file and converts it into some software that Sonic Pi can use, or to some files that Sonic Pi can use, as well as generating some Ruby code that Sonic Pi can use. So you go ahead and execute it, and I'll show you how to execute it to use it. And this isn't meant to be a huge tutorial. You can go ahead and look at the wiki on my GitHub and see a lot more about how to use Midiot and load MIDI songs and get pieces of MIDI songs and so on. So if we'll go ahead and look at it here, so it's in this directory, again underneath your user directory, under your Sonic Pi folder, underneath the MIDI loop folder is that program. So I'll go ahead and type it in this MIDI to Sonic Pi, and then the name of the MIDI file, and I'm going to do Georgia, and I'm going to create a folder. So it's basically the name of the MIDI file. It's a MIDI SPI command, the name of the MIDI file, and then the folder you want it to go into underneath MIDI loops. So if you look at it, and it goes ahead and runs that fast and generates all those tracks. So if I looked now back in here and look underneath Sonic Pi and underneath MIDI loops, there is now a Georgia folder, and that Georgia folder has got a number of things in it. It's got some Ruby code. It's got a piece of Ruby code for each track, and a piece of Ruby code called all tracks. It's got all the tracks information, and then it's got some files that that basically are used, called MIDI loop files, that are basically used by Sonic Pi to read data into some arrays, and we'll talk about that here in a second. That is used by Sonic Pi to go actually play the track. So we'll go ahead into Sonic Pi. Well, I guess I need to launch it again. And I'm using version 2.11. This is beta 4 in development still. And it works also with, works with 2.10 as well. That's what I developed it in. So I'll go ahead and load a song. And it was already here because I used it before. So if I go ahead and load in all tracks, it will load all the tracks. One of the things you find yourself doing when you're using MIDI songs is sometimes you have to go adjust the tempo. And I know this one plays too slowly if I don't, so I'm going to go up it by 3.7 times. And the Sonic Pi can handle that easily, and this will play it at a more normal speed. And I'll just go ahead and give you a quick listen to it. Real quick, just showing you what kind of loads. This Ruby code here was generated using the Midi to SPI program. And if you look in here, each track is in these groups of code. So this is the all track, so all the tracks show up. And basically, if you look at it The name of the file. This is the M loop file to bring in. That's got the MIDI track turned into a format that Sonic Pi can read, and it creates 3 arrays. This read MIDI loop actually reads this MIDI loop file in and creates a MIDI array, and then down here these statements take those MIDI arrays and then turn them into an array for notes, an array for timing, an array for release time on a note. And then each track has got this little loop in there that says, hey, play an instrument, and you play the note from the note array. You play it for a release of time, and you play it for a sleep. So you sleep it for as long as the note needs to play until the next note in the array plays. And this is the instrument it's using here, which is this sound font instrument, which you can hear about in another video. This is the thing that I added with one of my extensions. But this could be a synth, it could be a sample. Although samples don't really work because of the notes, but this could be a synth easily that would play the notes from the array. So that's kind of basically what happens. And just to show you real quick, so basically what's happening is all these are synced together, and that's what causes that song to play. One of the ways I use it a lot is to, if I just look at like a bass, this would just be the bass line. So again, this is going too slow, but the point is that you can load just a track or many tracks, and then when you have a track, you can also use the slice begin, slice end, and transpose. So it's, slice begin and slice end can be used along with a note filter as well, by the way. Are options that you can go ahead and say, hey, I just want you out of this MIDI track to pull, the middle or bars 5 through 16 in the MIDI song, and transpose it to 3 steps up, for example. And that's why you can go ahead and use a piece of MIDI, or basically as a MIDI clip, and bring it into a song if you're doing some live coding, and I do that quite a bit. So that's a quick intro to the Midiot, which is playing inside of here, and use of MIDI to Sonic Pi.